This past Monday there was yet another Drag Queen Story Hour protest, this time in South Australia outside the Salisbury Library. There's been a string of those protests lately. There's been a series of Drag Queen Story Hour events there, and cookers in South Australia are very much focused on standing outside and yelling at the kids and the babies on their way in. After all, someone's got to teach this baby how much of a degenerate it is. Oh, there's some more kids going in. More kids yelled shame at the little kids as they go into the library. Go on.
See, that woman thinks it's so good that she's actually filming us abusing them. Are you going to chop off her boobs next? Are you chopping off her boobs next and breasts next?
Quick, everyone, yell at the mother of the young teenage girl about her breasts in front of the young teenage girl. Someone's got to do it.
Shame.
Yes, shame on that little girl. I hope she feels terrible. Who's this child protection activist here? Why don't we get the kids out of the library and leave them with him unsupervised? This kind of response should be nothing new to this audience. We've spent a couple of years seeing this kind of thing, and of course groups like Rainbow Community Angels have been doing amazing work in Victoria and New South Wales thus far in organising community responses to protect events like this from these miserable homophobic pricks.
And then, or does he have a girlfriend or a boyfriend?
This is Raina, one of the organisers of the cooker contingent here.
It leads on to some really adult conversations which 10-year-olds shouldn't have to ponder, or younger. It can potentially completely, as Wally mentioned, mind fuck a child.
Anyway, Raina and co were not the only people outside the library unmind-fucking little boys and girls by screaming at them on their way into a library. The NSN also rocked up this time.
So we've come here from the NSN to protest against the paedophilia happening in this library.
So please remember that for just a moment later. They did say which group they're from, so there's no doubt about who they're from.
In this building, there is a groomer grooming children to become freaks like them.
I'm not sure who these people are.
As you can hear, Raina and co not immediately familiar with who the NSN are, although, they're smart people, so they've got some idea.
Yeah, they look like Antifa, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking.
Do you know who they are? Yeah, these dudes.
What are they?
They're the National Front. Oh, right. These guys are fucking fearless.
Oh, good on you, boys.
I want to read one of their...
Oh, so sorry.
Oh, sorry, Doug. Hey, going. Can I grab a flyer, please? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, he's got them.
Drag groomer in your area.
None of this should surprise you. Cookers have been targeting Drag Queen Story Hour events, as I said, for some time. NSN have been opportunist about that for some time. They've counted a number of these events, and cookers always roll over for them. What is new is what Channel 7 did afterwards. Here they are filming. Look.
Yeah, what are you here to film today?
We're here to film your side of the story.
Oh, yeah, excellent. All right. Yeah.
Would you like to have a chat to us?
Yeah, I'll have a chat.
All right.
Yep, I'll just turn this off.
Everybody, look out, don't get run over.
Right, brace yourself. Get a load of this.
There were frightening scenes here outside the council this morning as parents arrived with their children to attend the school holiday event. Expecting a backlash, the council moved Rainbow Story Time with drag queen Fifi LaDouche an hour earlier to 9 a.m, but protesters got wind of the time change.
They're quite happy to let children get groomed while you film me.
They all came in really bravely and I was really impressed with them all. One little boy thought they were there especially to cheer him on.
There was a heavy police presence as several threats sent the chambers into lockdown. No one was allowed in for several hours while demonstrators condemned the program being run inside.
Imagine a 10-year-old coming and seeing a man dressed provocatively, and he is, as a woman, doing story time, then going home and asking Mum, was that a boy or a girl?
We don't approve of this and we'll do anything we can to ensure that it stops happening.
The story time went beautifully. It was lovely. We sang lots of nursery rhymes and clapped our hands to show us you're happy. It was very pleasant. The books went down really well and the children had a lovely, safe time.
The council had received more than 100 complaints leading up to today's event, but maintains it was about promoting diversity.
All sorts of people live in Salisbury. We care about them all and we include them all, and that's what it is. We're an inclusive community.
The council isn't ruling out a similar event in future, but at this stage there's nothing in the calendar.
So Andrea Nicholas from Channel 7 stood there listening to neo-Nazis talking about pedophiles. She did listen to them announce who they were, so there's no doubt about who they were. And even if there was, she probably would have grabbed one of their flyers that said who they were. And then she went back to the studio to help craft what is the single most sympathetic bit of mainstream media coverage of neo-Nazis that I've ever seen. I may have missed something from other countries, but I've never seen overt Hitlerite neo-Nazis being openly promoted by mainstream media to this extent. And of course, neo-Nazis are over the moon about it. As neo-Nazi Joel Davis says here, it's great to see 7 News Adelaide sympathetically platforming National Socialists. And he's right, you know, you've got to hand it to him, of course. Of course, they've got every reason to be over the moon, you know. That's exactly what 7 News Adelaide did. Later on, Raina was brought on to ABC Adelaide Radio to tell Porkies about what she did or didn't know about the presence of the NSN there.
Raina, were there people who could be associated with the neo-Nazi movement there?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
just so you don't forget, she did take a flyer from the NSN, so she would have found out who they were then. And she did also get told in her own comments section afterwards that they were white nationalists. So she knows. So I suppose it's over to Andrea to clarify whether this is an exciting new direction for Channel 7, or at least 7 News Adelaide to take. Will they now start broadcasting all of the actions that National Socialist Network undertake in a sympathetic light? Call me old-fashioned, but for my money, it's just enough to know that these people are genocidal white supremacists and, you know, racial segregationists, not to mention radical homophobes. That's enough for me to sort of say, well, they shouldn't be on the TV, they shouldn't be platformed sympathetically. So what I want you to take the following as being me equivocating over that fundamental fact. That's really what I believe. But I do also think that the following is interesting, because it concerns the National Socialist Network's relationship, and it is a very questionable relationship, to the subject of paedophilia. Take this guy. Take his tattoo. It refers to Siege, which is a collection of essays by James Mason, taken by many neo-Nazis to be a seminal author of accelerationist, militant neo-Nazi, terrorist work. Aside from being a pretty important esoteric fascist figure and penning terrorist literature, this bloke is also a prolific pedophile. He had a series of live-in girlfriends who were around 14 years of age. You might accuse me of drawing a long bow there, but then again, I'm not the guy who made this person tattoo the masterwork of a prolific known pedophile on their arm. But we're far from done here. The leader of the Adelaide branch of the National Socialist Network is one Cameron Brodie Hall. The other day, the White Rose Society revealed that before he was part of the NSN, Cameron was an adherent of the Order of Nine Angles, which is a, how do I describe it, a nihilist, satanic, Nazi cult. So yeah, when Cameron was much younger, he was the adherent of the teachings of a group that endorsed sexual violence against children. But I admit that you could still probably say I'm drawing something of a long bow. I personally think we're already starting to seem a lot more pedophile adjacent with what we've seen thus far of this lot than even a homophobe's fears of gayness and trans people might warrant. But we're not done. Back in around 2018, 2019, Cameron ran his own private Discord, private chat server. He was the admin. So it's a curated space, isn't it really? What he leaves in there stays. Big content warning. You're about to see some really bad people make some endorsements of really bad stuff. Be warned. And thank you, of course, to White Rose Society for supplying me with this information. Cameron's username in there was Zoltan SA. Here's one of his Nazi mates telling him, bro, philia is based. It's the only solution to declining birth rates. Another commenter in Cameron's Discord, and I know this to have been a friend of his, says, if she bleeds, she can get the seed. This guy also joins the chorus started by the other guy in Cameron's private Nazi space, saying that paedophilia is actually based. Here we see a bit of pedo ethics 14 is okay. Anything under 14 is bad. That is not the only time in this video you're going to see Nazis expressing that sentiment, unfortunately. I can also reveal that Siege Time was Cameron's friend and fellow Order of Nine Angles adherent, Kane Xander Brown. We know of Kane Brown because, well, for one, he was arrested for defacing a synagogue, and for another, he's a registered sex offender. Specific offences were indecent behaviour with juveniles, convicted in 2022. Okay, so pedophile hero, tattoos, members of pedophile groups, and has overseas pedophile friends, and chats in groups with pedophiles. Alright, a lot of that's overseas anyway, isn't it? If you want to read more into the surprisingly extensive history of neo-Nazis and child sexual abuse or child sexual abuse material, then please click on this link which is in the description. You'll be able to read more about it. We aren't here to look at the world of global neo-Nazi pedophilia entanglements. We're keeping it Australian.
Well, I don't give a shit about the laws of this country. According to Catholic canon law, a woman can marry at 14 and a man can marry at 16. So, to me, that's reasonable.
These are the philosophical musings of Joel Davis here. You remember I quoted him before as being the neo-Nazi influencer who was overjoyed about Channel 7 Adelaide's positive reception to them.
Now, a lot of people aren't going to marry that young, but as like a kind of bottom range.
If you think about the numbers in your head, you go, yeah, that's it. That's about right.
Women do mature physically and just in general faster than men.
Here is another NSN member, Michael Nelson, or Mickle, endorsing legalised pedophilia for 14-year-olds. Here he suggests checking out 14-year-olds for signs of post-pubescence by sussing them out, just having a look at them. If you want to see more of this eye-popping shit, and there really is actually a lot more, go and have a look at Alt Media Watch's video, Groomerwaffen SS. Great title. Unfortunate subject matter. Click on this link which is in the description. You won't believe it. You won't believe how much they endorse this.
So we've come here from the NSN to protest against the pedophilia happening in this library.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they've taken the time back, so we have not been able to encounter the pedophile.
I don't know how to make this any clearer to you. I wouldn't be able to tell you if any of them are pedophiles or not. You know, I'm not going to sort of fling that term around. But what they are is pedophilia decriminalisation advocates. There's an organisation called NAMBLA which is said to exist. I don't even know if it really exists or whether it's just a way to malign the reputations of LGBT groups or not, you know. It's meant to be a man-boy love association, basically a pedophilia advocacy group. And there's only two organisations now that I know of that advocate for legalisation of pedophilia. And that's NAMBLA, who I'm not sure exist, and the NSN, or as I think of them, National Socialist NAMBLA. It occurred to me the other day that if they're pedophilia decriminalisation advocates, you know, they want it to be legal to marry 14-year-old girls, then they're not actually against pedophilia at all. It's just that because they're homophobes and they're transphobes, they just don't think that you should be able to do it while wearing a dress and lots of heavy makeup. They think that you should have to do it while wearing all black. So what they actually are, if you think about it, is pedophile stylists, you know, or as I like to think of them, the Nonce Stylist Network. I hate to joke about this when I can see that these people actually are pedophilia decriminalisation activists. That actually makes me sick and really worried. I guess I'm just a bit despairing when I see Channel 7 airing these pedophilia decriminalisation activists in the midst of their campaign to reinvent themselves as protectors of children. You wouldn't want your children anywhere near these scumbags. That would be a real fucking worry. In the meantime, protect these events, protect the queer community, protect these performers. And if you have the spare time, why don't you ask Andrea or 7 News Adelaide why they're endorsing these people as concerned parents or members of the community when they're anything but.